I just want to start this episode by giving a disclaimer. If you've never listened to our podcast before, just know that we have Google and a dream, okay? We have Google and a dream. We are not the people you should be turning to for answers or questioning. In fact, take this entire episode with a grain of salt, because if I'm one thing, it's a stupid bitch.
Okay. Hello and welcome to On Wednesdays We Wear Black with me, Sophie K, and Yasmine Summer.
Hello, people of the internet. What? Okay, Mariah Carey. What the
It went. That was the whistle. No. So if you haven't figured it out yet, if you haven't seen the title, if you haven't seen our references so far, today's episode is all about Sleep Token.
Who up sleeping they token?
What is going on? Like,
Who are Sleep Token? Why are Sleep Token? When was Sleep Token?
Okay, Sleep Token are a big band, right? That, no question. That we know. That's where we're starting, Yasmin.
Okay.
Sleep Token are now a massive band, but for a lot of people, they're like, how the hell did this happen? When did you first hear of the Sleep Token, of the tokens of sleep?
Well, actually, not to flex, but I was there before the hype. No, I saw them touring with Holding Absence and Loathe.
Because they supported, didn't they?
They were the first support on the supporting slot, which is crazy to think now because they've opened like fucking Wembley.
What year is this?
Like, I want to say between 2017 and 2019 when they signed with Spinefarm.
The first show I went to was a show at St Pancras Old Church, and I will send you clips of this, Yasmin. And there were 150 people there in this church, right? 150 people there. So it was mainly press, right? And we were all seated in this church. And I have never seen a show like it. And it is one of the greatest shows I have ever seen in history. I will send you clips. But this is the bit that gets me. So obviously I was known as somebody that promoted new bands and promoted them heavily. And I was one of the only people from the UK who was also working for American brands.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that the bassist knew who I was because I was sat like maybe second row from the front. This bassist, Yasmin, decided to use, I don't know, either I've pissed this person off or they thought it was funny. I'm easily spooked. I was there on my own. Bass made direct eye contact with me the entire time and kept signalling thumb across the neck. And then using the bar, like, would pretend to, like, stab, like that, and swing their bass guitar like, looking. And you know when you're like, oh, they're looking at me, they're looking at me. This person was looking at me.
Into your soul. Into your soul.
Yes, but I will see if I can show you the clips. It scared the shit out of me, and it was one of the most terrifying gigs I've ever been to in my entire life for that reason.
See that
in my soul.
Flex. This is our only. Well, no.
I was trying to wear the t-shirt, but I couldn't find it. I've buried it somewhere.
Flex on these hoes. I know that there are Sleep Token fans listening to this who are going to be sick to their stomach, but I think it's really funny because we've been both working in the music industry for a while. That like these are the bands now that you were like putting on your new music shows, and now they're like big guys.
It was the time when they released, for me, the greatest release, and it's weird. Not many people agree with me here, but for me, the greatest release will always be Calcutta.
Okay, so
that, like, it changed my life.
So this is an episode about lore. So I really got into it. I can't even lie to you. I feel like I've learned more than I knew about them in my entire lifetime, in their entire lifetime of being a band. Like this.
I'm so glad.
Crazy.
I'm so glad you did that because
you didn't do that.
No, I did. Don't even get me wrong. I've made notes. I went into Reddit and I started reading the laws and things, and I was lost. I was like,
It's
what the
crazy,
fuck
right? I didn't even
is.
realize. I think on the surface level, because the song that blew up for them, the reason that like I think people know about them more than they did back in like 2019 and when they were first active, is because the summoning blew up, and that's like a sexy song about like getting freaky.
Yeah.
But like that's not the band. That's like one portion of it. The rest of their entire discography is like super elusive and about like this whole theory about sleep and vessel and like it's
But
there's like
Yasmin, I sat down with this Reddit law,
right.
right? And I'm not going to blame neurodivergence here, but I would get two sentences in and then my brain would go, I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow. I'm
See,
kind of not
okay.
it because it is. If I felt like I have more focus and was able to absorb more when I was reading medical papers.
Rookie mistake. I went to YouTube. I had people do the work for me. I
Ah,
was doing my makeup, listening to the law explanations and stuff, and then making notes by what people said. Rookie
see,
mistake.
I read the Reddits.
Rookie.
Let's before we go down to the law. Let's start with for anyone who isn't a fan of Sleep Token, because there are a lot of fans of Sleep Token.
Mm.
So the way it happened with Sleep Token is in 2016 they released an EP called One,
Mm-hmm.
and so you'll hear us referring to One. And the big single from that was Thread the Needle.
Yep.
They had in 2017 they released Two, and that had Calcutta and Nazareth, two of I think the greatest songs
Ever made. Yeah.
ever made. 2018 they released some more singles. They had a cover of Hey Ya from
Mm-hmm.
Outkast. They had The Way That You Were. Then they released Sundowning in 2019. 2021 had This Place Will Become Your Tomb, which is they often shorten it to letters when you see people talk about it. TPWBYT. And Take Me Back to Eden. TMBTE, people who
Banger.
shorten it. And that was in
Banger.
2023. And that is where most people heard about Sleep Token. Now, they've also done a track with Loathe, who you mentioned in 2022.
Yep.
So just so you know, Vessel is the singer that we're talking about. We probably should have put this at the start. Vessel is the lead vocalist that we're talking about. Number 2 is the drummer. 3 is the bassist. 4 is the guitar. Now, if you want to find out more, you can find all different types of law online. But one of the things that they do at gigs is they have interludes, instrumental interludes, where there is arguments or conversation between Sleep and Vessel. Now, often what you'll hear is Sleep mocking Vessel and Vessel arguing back. And very cleverly, Vessel often shows a lot of vulnerability in these moments, and it's almost like theatre at those points.
People love to call anybody that's blown up out of nowhere an industry plant. Chapel Roan, for example, gets called an industry plant. Sleep Token have been going since 2016. This is how you know they're an OG band. They have a band camp. Before they were signed to Spineform Records in 2019, they had a band camp. And
But they've never been called an industry plant. Have you noticed that?
I think they have. I think
Have they?
I've in recent years, especially on TikTok, people call them an industry plant because they blew up out of nowhere. But they actually didn't blow up out of nowhere. They've
No.
had a cult following since 2016, and I think Take Me Back to Eden was their most commercially viable album to like market to non Sleep Token fans, that it blew up for them. But they've been rocking since 2016. Listen here.
It's interesting because I think what they've obviously looked at is the journey of so many different bands. Whether you look at Slipknot with their Maggots and you look at 21 Pilots with their
Click.
Click, that's it. Whether you look at Ghost, I don't know what they call their fans, but their
Spirit
fans.
Box and their boxies. I think that's such a funny. No.
But there's so many bands that have, and then you also get the bands that covered their face. Now, if I was in Mushroom Head, right, I would be watching Slipknot, like getting all this love. I'd be watching Ghost. I'd be watching Sleep Token and thinking, come on, what? Why not us? Because they're the band that we associate with starting it all.
Yeah. But then I think as well, it's kind of the point of like every other band you've just mentioned have taken off their masks. Sleep Token haven't. And I think that's what's
That's
the big hook. So if you don't know, Sleep Token have never revealed their identities, and we're not going
themselves.
to reveal themselves. No. They have had their identities leaked online, and we're not going to get into that because we respect their privacy, and
we'll
also
talk
we don't
about
want
it,
to
but
get
we won't-
blackballed from the industry.
We won't talk about who
We
they are.
respect their privacy, but also I really respect my right to keeping a job, so we're not going to do that. No.
So let's start, Yasmine. So do you want to take us back to your understanding of the law? Because I can read you my notes on it. But
let's compare notes, bestie. From my understanding, Sleep Token is a collection of masked musicians united together by their worship of an identified deity named Sleep, who revealed himself to the lead singer in a dream, and he's called himself Vessel because he is a vessel for Sleep, the deity's message.
Right, so let's just break that down.
That sounds like someone's going, yeah, bro, I was having a dream and this guy called Sleep came to me and I was like, you know, bro, I'll be a vessel for your, like, message and stuff, bro. Yeah, man, like, rock on, bro.
And so let's just break down, because a lot of people won't know what a deity is. It's a god or goddess, divine status, quality of nature, and so you think Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, Artemis, Aphrodite. You think of like
hell yeah,
Greek Olympians, the 12 Olympians. So it's like someone of godlike status. But did you get the same, Yasmine, as me? So what people have taken that as is a lover somehow.
No.
Right, okay. No. All right, so let me tell you what.
I'm not on the freaky side of the internet, no.
No, so I got from it that in Thread the Needle, Sleep seduces Vessel, and that's kind of like how people have taken it. And Eden is a place, not a person. And Vessel is in this like toxic cycle with Sleep. And there's a lot of talk of vorophilia, which is being eaten whole by a being. So Eden and Sleep are toying with Vessel because like Sleep and Eden at some point are both female, and he treated one of them quite badly. Did you get into this side? You said you went deep into the lore. Yasmine, it sounds like I went in deeper.
But I didn't go into the freaky, nasty.
This wasn't freaky. This is like the general consensus.
That's crazy. I mean, I respect it. I get it. But damn. Okay, slay. No,
this is what everyone has different like interpretations, but the main interpretations apparently come from this Reddit page, and that's why a lot of the time when people want interviews with Sleep Token, they'll interview these Reddit page moderator people because like they're so obsessed with the band. That's where people get their information from. Are you still with me?
I'm with you. Physically, I'm here. Mentally, I'm calling the police on your behalf and getting you institutionalized.
This isn't me. I am only repeating and it's this love story that I think has made people so obsessed and infantilize and become so obsessed with Vessel because he's this kind of heartbroken, toxic cycle in love with Sleep and Eden.
Okay, well,
Sleep Token fans are coming for you, Yasmine, because they're going to be like, Sophie is right. If you're a Sleep Token stan, a Vesselite, listening to this, if you're listening to this right now and That is what you are. Can you get in touch and tell me? I think that's quite a good name, actually.
Vesselite. Who up sleep with no token. I was very primarily focused on the interview they did for Metal Hammer in 2017. For the longest time, this was one of the only interviews they did. They've since done other ones. They did a cover story with Kerrang, but back in 2017, they did an interview with Metal Hammer, and they disclosed the following information. Our identities are unimportant. Music is marketed on who is or isn't in the band. It's pushed, prodded, and moulded into something it isn't. Vessel endeavours to keep the focus on his offerings. Yeah. Yeah.
And they end that interview with a phrase. Just know that we're going to come back to this phrase again.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm just looking at this interview with Metal Hammer, and it is intense. So if you read that interview, they end it with the line, because they said, what they asked them the question, what lies in the future for Sleep Token, and they ended it with nothing, full stop, lasts, full stop, forever, full stop.
From my understanding, lore aside, they are musicians who've been in bands before, and I think they've seen how the music industry is a machine and how it pushes a lead singer to the front and makes him like the star of the show. So instead, they've kept their masks on and masked their identities, and I respect that.
They've changed their masks once, I believe. There was
Yeah,
one change
recently,
and I don't think it'll end, Yasmine. I think it'll evolve, much like Ghost,
Okay.
in the way it had to evolve.
Do you know who did the interview with Sleep Token for Metal Hammer?
It wasn't it Luke Morton, who is now the editor of Kerrang
Shout
magazine?
out to Luke.
Shout out to Luke.
No one credits the person who did the interview.
No, we don't. We don't celebrate journalists as much as we used to, which is really annoying because I think Luke also wrote Enshikari's book.
Well, there you go. Shout out Luke
Side
Morton.
story.
Shout
Standing
out
like
Luke.
statues.
Yes. Okay, so we've established that interview, right? Like that was their interview they
Okay.
did for the longest time. And then I went into the lore more. So they've had 2 logos and 2 mask chains in their time. The logos have to do with like ruins from the oldest alphabet. It's called the Elder Futhark. I'm probably butchering that.
You did not get that. I don't know what you just said.
But
Say that again.
Futhark?
You sound like you're on Bird Talk.
They also have changed their masks. People were. This annoyed me, right? So they changed their masks after it was for their show in London, Wembley, last year, 2013. 2023. I saw them on that show, and they changed their masks, and people were kicking off being like, oh, their masks have changed. They just look like rip-off of Slipknot. He also does masks for other people that aren't just singers.
The masks really don't look like Slipknot.
There's like a lot of lore with like their symbology and stuff, so much that I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to muddy up like the actual.
Are we 100% sure symbology is a word, Yasmine? Because
I'm
you were sounding really intelligent until you said that.
There's a lot of symbolism in their artwork and in their songs. A lot that I don't want to muddy it up by getting things wrong, but I'll give you an example. When they were releasing This Place Will Become Your Tomb, they were releasing like different single covers, and each single cover had little coordinates in the top corners. And like
This is in 2021.
2021, and they had all these coordinates that you had to put together, and like you couldn't really see them. They were in like the corner of the single covers, and then people worked it out where it was once they all came out, and it was where Nemo is, which is a place on Earth that like no one can really survive there.
Do you know what? I will be into the music and I will listen to songs over and over and over again, and I will be interested in reading interviews, hearing the stories behind the songs and the stories of the artists behind them. That interests me. This like Dungeons and Dragons weird world is never It's never been something I've
You're gonna
understood.
get
I'm
roasted for
gonna get
calling.
so.
Did you just call Sleep Token Dungeons and Dragons core?
I didn't use the word core.
You might as
You
well. You
added
might as
that in.
well. You might as well just been
You
like
added that in.
fucking nerds. No, we are also nerds, and I respect. I respect it. You know,
I'm nerdy, but I'm not that nerdy.
yeah.
I'm not like, I'm not that nerdy. That is some level. But I like it. It's kind of like, I guess when I was young, there used to be these books that when I was a kid that you'd read, and it would be like, if you want this character to do this, 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 turn to page 17. If you want them to do this, 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 to enter the cave, turn to page 20. And it was like you could make the outcome of the book by turning to different pages.
I'm not gonna lie. Sleep Token sounds cooler than that. Maybe
This
we're
is
the nerds.
I know, but I was like 10 or something. This is kind of
Yeah, you were a nerd.
I wasn't like 30.
So there's lots of different like symbologies and like little notes and Easter eggs that you can find in their artwork, in their music, in their lore that like will take you to different places, show you different things, make you like more immersed in the world of sleep, the deity, and the worship. Hashtag worship. Who are worshipping right now?
You can't see this right now, but Yasmine's doing some weird dance. I don't know what has happened to you. You look like one of those 40-year-old hippies that
I
gets dreadlocks
like...
at the front of their hair and just dances in like in Indian clothing on the beach.
Just call me a slur instead. That's so much worse. Their music is. I think the reason it appeals to alternative music fans is because it is actually, aside from the lore, their music technically is very heavy in riffs. It has some like ambient sound keys, and then you've got. I for the longest time thought the vessel was Hosier. Hosier. I thought it was him. I thought
Did
it was
you?
him doing a side project and didn't want to like do it as Hosier because everyone knew him as that because they sound quite similar. It's not him. It's not him. Their
No.
schedules conflict a bit too much. People think it's Lucas from Holding Absence. It's not. Sorry. I don't know if this is an exclusive. I can confirm. It's
The
definitely
most
not him.
interesting one was when people thought it was Rob Damani from Don Broco, which I can kind of understand because their voices sound kind of familiar in some ways. But what I love is that it isn't a side project from as far as we know. This is an entity of itself. And there are so many bands who have tried to create this lore and it hasn't worked. Do you remember the band Starset? That's the one that always sticks in my mind.
Yes. Oh my god.
Do you remember their lore?
No. No.
So Starset had this whole thing where they were like, they've been put on this earth to deliver a message from the aliens. And it was like they couldn't. I don't know. It was like they couldn't reveal who the aliens were until the message had been spread, or something like that. And what I think I like about what they've done with Sleep Token is they've made it really intricate and really really nerdy, but really like I would, if you were trying to get me to do some kind of like We Wear Black Easter eggs, I would probably make it too obvious. I'd like put something in the background, but to think about the depth that they went into and creating that narrative and sticking to that narrative is amazing.
I'm just thinking about Easter eggs for our podcast. We have no Easter eggs. Every week we overshare. We trauma dump,
Yeah.
overshare, and then feel horrifyingly embarrassed. But I think the reason it works for Sleep Token is because it's very intricate and detailed and planned. It doesn't feel forced. It's like everything
No.
feels like it's got a purpose. But also I feel like it panders to like the specifically nerdy metalheads. Because like in the metal community, okay, properly deep in this now. In the metal community, you've got like the metalheads, but you've also got a lot of nerds. A lot of nerds who are like, yeah, I like playing board games. Yeah, I like playing Star Wars. And I feel like this kind of stuff appeals to them because they're like, ooh, it's like a Marvel universe, but for a band.
It's kind of like fun fantasy world, isn't it?
Yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons.
like Dungeons and Dragons.
I can't get over that. I can't get over that. I want to give a shout out. They have a group of backing singers who are all women, and I, for the life of me, can't remember their name. But my
I
God,
have got that.
I love them. I love
So
them.
we're not 100% sure they're women, but people assume they're women because obviously they're wearing masks and they're cloaked, and they are called the Vesselettes.
Oh, they have an Instagram with their faces.
Oh, do they? No.
Yeah, Aspera. Yeah. So they've revealed their identities
I'm really intrigued as to why they're allowed to do that.
because they do other stuff. So like they're not part of the band. They're just like they are. They were established before Sleep Token. Oh no, they were established before they joined as backing vocals for Sleep Token. So it would be harder to hide their identities, and also they do backing vocals for other people.
Interesting. So they are like nothing to do with the law, from what I can tell, anyway.
No, but I think they are extremely talented, and I love them, and I'm fans of them. Okay, I'm not a Sleep Token fangirl. Okay, it involves men. I don't care, but the raging lesbian in me is like, I fucking love these women.
When you go into the law and you start looking at it, like it is amazing how people of all different backgrounds start to identify with Sleep Token. For example, there was someone who is a Jungian psychologist, which is a type of practice, just to let you know, Jungian therapy involves delving into the unconscious mind. This guy believed that it plays a large part of him being a fan of Sleep Token. So he thinks that as a Jungian psychologist, that's why he understands Sleep Token to the degree he does.
I don't know about you, but I went deep into the discourse about them online and like the weird stuff. Because as they've got bigger, they've obviously grown a larger audience, especially if people who don't respect their privacy. And people get weird. I'm not even going to lie to you. People are fucking weird. So, do you want me to run you through the discourse that I could find around them? And by discourse, I mean like stupid shit that people on the internet with no brain cells are saying.
Yes.
They got accused of blackface because they paint their bodies black.
Of course they did, yeah.
Just to clarify, they weren't being caricatures of black people. They were painting their skin the colour of black face paint, not because they want to be black, because they wanted to look like shadowy figures. It's cosplay. It's not. It's not the other thing. Use context.
They're not caricatures.
No, they don't. Anyway,
but 21 Pilots had that as well.
I know loads of bands do it. If we're going to cancel Sleep Token for that, we've got to cancel a lot of other bands as well. A lot of people are sexualizing them.
A lot.
Sexualizing them, and like I get it to a certain degree because there are sexual themes in their songs, so like I can understand why it leads people to that. People take it way too far. Like the fanfics that I've found about Sleep Token are so fucking weird. So weird, like kinky weird, like kinky weird, but not even like normal kinky weird. I'm talking freaky weird. And like people, I need to say something. This is going to be the most controversial part of our video, right? Are you ready? You're not going to fuck Vessel. You're not going to fuck the other members of Sleep Token. You'll probably never see their faces. They will never date you because you are just another fan and they are musicians. They are people. They have real lives. They probably have girlfriends, boyfriends, partners.
Maybe that's why people enjoy doing it though, because they know it's never going to happen, so they can dream about it whilst knowing it'll never actually happen. It's just a fantasy.
People are weird. Like I can't believe I don't know if anyone else saw this. There was a girl who was like, yeah, I whack off to Vessel. Like I get off to him. Like I get off to videos of him. And it's like, don't. That's so, don't ruin it.
There's always someone to ruin everything. Okay.
Complete polar opposite. People love to baby them and like make them out to be ooh little babies. Like oh my gosh, there was this one tweet there, and I'll never get over it. It's so funny. Someone literally went, "Oh my god, can you imagine Vessel coming home from tour and being so sad and alone? Would he sitting in his big house all by himself?" And then someone replied and went, "Well, Vessel's probably autistic." No reasoning behind it. Just Vessel's probably autistic because he's a man who makes metal music. He probably goes at home and stims and has a fun time. And I'm like, what? Like, what? You don't know this man. Listen. I am someone who is based in reality. I know that Vessel is a British man, probably in his 30s, considering how long he's been in the music industry. He's
Probably
a
40s.
probably
I'd assume.
40s
I'd
in the
assume.
probably 30s, late 30s, early 40s in the music industry. He's a British man. Okay, the Euros are on right now. Do you know what Vessel does when he gets off tour? He goes to the pub. He goes to Wetherspoons, which is a chain pub in the UK. He orders curry and chips, mild spice, orders a pint, and screams at the TV when his favourite football team loses. Okay, he probably goes, "Are you fucking joking me? Sleep token, in it." That is more realistic than him being like, "Ooh, I'm just a little guy."
See, I imagine him more so maybe having a family, going home to his family.
He goes to his mum.
No, like his kids and wife, and he's probably got like a family maybe, or like I imagine he's probably just a normal guy doing normal things. He probably reads a book.
He probably catches the tube or the
Doesn't
bus.
strike me as a Weatherspoons guy though.
I think he's a spoons guy. I think he's a nerdy spoons guy.
No, I
Do
don't
you
think
know
so.
what? I've seen the most like nerdiest guys you've ever seen go to spoons and still yell at the football. Euros brings people together, okay? Brings the nerds of the
You
world
can tell
together.
Yasmin's been watching the football. Okay, so is that it for your sleep token? This is ending up a very long episode.
I know, right? We have info dumped. That's all I can really get.
Okay.
They are quite big now. They are playing like fucking arenas, which I'm very happy about. It's nice to see that like the new generation of bands are fucking smashing it.
Absolutely, and they just have very smart band. I mean, everyone argues about where Sleep Token sit musically, right? But in the same way with 21 Pilots, with bands like Fallout Boy, with different bands who's even with some of the heavier bands, let's be honest here, just because their sound has changed and evolved, if a band grew up and built their fan base in alternative music, I accept them as an alternative band. I mean, let's face it, they are a prog band. Like, and prog changes. Just it doesn't matter whether Opeth are doing their black metal album or whether they're doing their prog Stephen Wilson Porcupine Tree album. Like, it's still Opeth and they are still part of our scene. And it's the same with Sleep Token. But just to end, Sleep Token are very, very big. If you're a big fan of this, the one thing I will say is the more I learnt about Sleep Token lore, the more I didn't understand, because it goes so deep. It was not something you could research in a few hours. It's like you have to be obsessed with it to be able to even learn about it, because it's so deep. So the more you learn, the less you know. But if you do want to check out some other bands, a band that formed at the same time as Sleep Token that are definitely worth going to watch, Gaea, I think pronounced Gaerea. I would definitely recommend going to see them. They are also masked, but they have revealed themselves, and they don't go as intense as Sleep Token, but the performance is amazing live. Another band that have long been masked are Imperial Triumphant. And do you know what I love that they do at their gigs is they will sell guest masks at their gigs. Which I think is the coolest thing. Imagine going to a Sleep Token gig and they're selling guest masks. So it's like part of the ritual, and you get to be part of it by wearing one of their masks.
That's low-key sick. I'm not gonna lie, that's low-key sick. Do you know, I think if you're a fan of Sleep Token as well, I really like Baby Metal. They have lore, and also they're just really cool. And I also think Loathe are like musically and sonically, and also like for the demographic, very much in the same breath as Sleep Token. So yeah, Loathe and Baby Metal are my recommendations.
For anyone who doesn't know anything about Sleep Token and has listened to this episode, I'm sorry, we've made no sense. We probably haven't taught you anything. This is you're probably just as confused as we are. So Yasmin, at the end of that,
the point is that that it's meant to be confusing. It's not meant to be easily digestible because it's complicated, it's layered, it's something that takes a lot of time to get into, but once you're there, you're united with a bunch of other people who love it and understand it just as much as you do.
Which is very true, Yasmin. And I know I mock it, but if you listen to this podcast, you know I mock most things. And actually, I think it's quite wonderful and I think it's quite beautiful. And long may it continue.